Hello, this is OC Skywatch. It is the 22nd of September 2015. It's around 9:15 p.m. right now. And, well, I'm going to make a video showing some weather warfare that was being waged against us. We were supposed to get some heavy thunderstorms, but unfortunately, though, that was canceled and apparently turned into a giant aerosol mess. Along with ionospheric haters pressing down some dry air. I'm going to try to make this as short as I can. September 18th, 18 to 21:30 Zulu, and you can see right off the bat there's very, very heavy aerosol trails off the coast of Oregon and Northern California and Washington as well. I think that the primary reason for these things being laid down is to prevent any sort of low pressure activity from developing in here to keep the jet stream in a straight position so they can drive the jet stream pretty much down here with this high pressure. Doesn't look at all like it's too natural. But anyways, here's a low pressure that was starting to form off the coast of Northern Baja, but it was projected to go over Southern California. It was destroyed before it was able to bring any rain. Moisture from Tropical Depression 16E was also suppressed from bringing any sort of rains into our area as well. I feel this low pressure along with the moisture from down here would have brought us some heavy thunderstorms, yet didn't happen. They destroyed it. It's kind of sad. You can also notice that there's some very heavy aerosol trails on the eastern end of this low pressure near Hawaii. Very heavy spraying here. Okay, let's move on. This is a few hours later. This is 0:30 Zulu to 4 Zulu here on September 19th. Okay, not much has changed here. There's a little notch here that's starting to move further south. Looks like it's getting a little bit drier. This thing has some aerosols being laid in it. I don't know why I didn't mention that in the beginning. This tropical depression is still trying to spin up a bit. See a bit of a clockwise flow in here. And, whoa, what is that? Looks like there's some dry air being pressed down over the Texas Panhandle. There's a little boundary as well. Let's slow that down a bit. Kind of see a little bit of a clockwise flow right here, and that very well can create a boundary. I mean, look at that. And I'm pretty sure that there was a west wind because normally the winds go from west to east at this latitude. According to this map, my statement is correct. Both the surface wind and the jet stream at 300 millibars, which is around 30,065 feet, the air seems to be going from the west to the east, and there must be like a layer of air going the opposite direction between the surface and 30,065 feet. Pretty neat find. This area also looks like it's getting a tiny bit drier. There's also a thunderhead over here, but I don't know what they're going to do with it. I'm only bringing that up because HAARP reports in this area. Gotta look out for him. This low pressure near Hawaii is still getting a bunch of aerosols laid into the eastern side of it. See a little bit of a dry air thing over here. Just expanding. It looks very weird to me. September 19th, 9:30 to 13 Zulu, and this low pressure off of our coast is, well, starting to gain more shape. Kind of looks like the aerosol thing has stopped a bit. This area actually looks pretty dry. Drier than the previous frame. It's just expanding. This is the Tropical Depression 16E. It's actually starting to organize more. Looks like there's a thunderstorm being blasted right here, because I see a clockwise flow and this thing's just disappearing rapidly. Kind of see what is this? These look like little frequency patterns. I don't know. It very well could be because I see a little bit of a clockwise rotation. Looks like depressing dry air down here. Very interesting. Just look at that. That doesn't really look too normal, at least to me. I'm pretty sure the wind's coming from the west as well. Seems very, very odd. Here's another notch coming down from the north. You see that? Here's the notch from before. It's all gathering in here. Look at these really heavy trails on the northeast section of this low pressure near Hawaii. This could have been a powerful, powerful low pressure. Unfortunately, though, with all the aerosols, it doesn't have much of a chance. September 19th, 11:32, 15 Zulu. Seems like there's more activity in this low pressure here, but unfortunately, though, it seems like there's more of a clockwise rotation towards the center. I mean, look. Clockwise. Clockwise. Let's slow that down. I mean, see? That's very bizarre. I thought low pressures was supposed to be going counterclockwise all around here, not just on the edge. This thing right here is still trying to gain some momentum. Don't worry, it will be. Still, kind of looks like there's some dry air being pressed down here. Kind of weird. Let's take a look at that tropical depression right here. It's just doing what it can, but I feel that it's being suppressed a little bit by dry air. If you look down here, it's just getting drier. A little bit of a clockwise flow in there. This thing's trying to survive. Is that a clockwise in here on the southern end? I think there is a little bit. I still see these little line things coming out of Mexico. Kind of strange, almost looks like a frequency thing. Definitely see clouds disappearing, so that very well could be coming from a downburst of dry air. There's still some pretty heavy aerosols being laid off the northwest coast and out in the Pacific as well. There's a low pressure right here, but I don't think it's going to have much rain with it because of all the aerosolized junk. More aerosols over Northern California, isn't that nice? Area of dry air getting bigger, looks like. This is September 19th going into the 20th, 21 to 030 Zulu. What happened to this low pressure here? Looks like it's getting kind of squashed and there's tons of heavy aerosols in there. Anyways, this thing just is trying to keep itself together here. It's going to start gaining momentum very rapidly. You can see some thunderstorms that are starting to develop over Northern Baja in the mountains. I don't know if that's natural or not. Could be because it seems like there's enough energy available. Kind of looks like these blast patterns were bringing some moisture over here. Very interesting. Seems like there's an east to west flow taking shape in some layers of the atmosphere. See little moisture things near this island. This will start strengthening rapidly into some pretty strong thunderstorms that probably they had to shut it down because it was getting too close. You'll see that in just a second. There's still the notch coming down and it's going to feed into here, I feel. This could have been a powerful low pressure, pretty sure. Kind of looks like a little bit of a redirection over here with dry air being pressed down, so California would have less rain potential. This thing looks kind of odd. There's a bit of a clockwise flow here. This is still the tropical depression 16E. It's really going to gain momentum, but it's going to be blown apart pretty soon, I'm almost certain. Look at all the aerosols over here. None of this looks natural at all. The wispy type. At the end, you're going to see aerosols over my area in a NASA map. Kind of looks like there's a little bit of clockwise flow in this low pressure. I swear, if they just like released the climate system right now, this thing would have turned into a mega hurricane. I'm pretty sure. The water's so warm and just drenched us. We need a good drenching, and we could have got one regardless if this thing came in, but unfortunately no. Seems like they restarted drought in my area, so kind of in a bad situation now. Yesterday was one of the worst spray days in recent months, by far. Okay, moving on. This is September 20th, 9:30 to 13 Zulu, and, well, what do you see here? The east to west flow has created a lot of turbulence in the atmosphere, and with the warm water, seems like a lot of convection starting to kick up here. Because you see, these right here are thunderstorms. This is moisture still starting to pick up. Here's this tropical depression 16E again. This kind of looks like a downburst of dry air here with a little boundary rapidly expanding. Look how dry this area is, at least on the southern part of the low pressure. It looks like they're starting to reroute some moisture. We actually got not even a single drop out of this system in Orange County. As it headed into California, that's when the rain completely dissipated. Here's low pressure going into British Columbia. Okay, this is September 20th, 1632, 20 Zulu. It's really starting to explode with energy now because there's moisture being driven over from this tropical depression, and the blast pattern kind of, it seems like, migrated some moisture over here in warm water. Thunderstorm development is almost certain to happen. Mother Nature's just trying to respond to the damage being done, and unfortunately though it's not being allowed too much. Does that look like a clockwise? No, but not too much, nothing too odd. Let's look at this tropical depression over Baja. It's trying to get itself a little bit more organized. Water's around 80 degrees or so because it's still pretty south. Over here's around 75. There's some aerosols being laid to the northwest of Hawaii. Pretty heavy. It's all gonna migrate, and that's not good. Looks like a thunderstorm was crushed here. It's bleeding more towards clockwise down here. It's kind of looks like they're suppressing moisture from bringing California some amplified rains. Look at all the aerosols here. I feel sorry for HAARP Report. He's back in his drought, so there's not going to be much rain from this right here. Okay, this is September 20th going into 21st, 22 to 130 Zulu. Let's zoom in a bit. There's a lot of dry air down here. Very heavy aerosols right to the west of this low pressure that's off of our coast and off the coast of Northern Baja. This thing's starting to gain a little bit more momentum. Anyways, seems like my suspicion was right about some dry air being pressed down here near Southern California. Kind of looks like there's a little bit of a rotation here, going more towards clockwise. I think there's actually two motives. Keep the rain out of California. The weather derivatives market doesn't help. And protect this transmitter. But man, just look at that. It's kind of bizarre. Seems like air's getting drier on the northwest side. They're already starting to attack it. Dry air down here. Here's this tropical depression 16E. Still looks like it's being suppressed a little bit. Seems like there's a lot of aerosols being laid in this mass. Why can't they just leave Mother Nature alone? Of course they can't, because it's all about the money and all about corruption and evil agendas. They always have to screw with us, screw with many other countries in the world as well. It's all for power and control. There's just a little boundary. Looks like a straight line over here. Kind of looks like there's dry air being pressed down as well. Kind of odd. Interesting area here. Moving on. This is the same time. You can see there's a east to west flow here. Clouds are developing rapidly. So much so that it looks like they're going to have to just blatantly destroy this thing, because energy up here is really starting to gain momentum, especially towards the south. Up towards the north though, the dry air pressing down started early, seems like. Look at that clockwise. Clockwise here as well. There's that massive aerosol plume right on the eastern side of the low pressure near Hawaii. Look at that, it's very blatant. What are these little things here? Kind of looks like some lower level geoengineering type of some sort. Let me pause that really quick. What is this? Also see a little bit of scaliness over here. Just a bunch of funny patterns. Okay, let's move on. Alright, this is September 21st, 10 to 13:30 Zulu. Wow, looks like, oh my gosh, there's more of these little lower level geoengineering style tracks here. But that's not the main focus. The main focus is right here. They're starting to attack the southern part now, because these thunderstorms here are starting to get quite close to this Isla Guadalupe HAARP transmitter. You know, if a thunderstorm gets above that thing, With the metal, it'd be an easy target for lightning to strike it and cause some damage. And they cannot have that happen, of course. I was hoping they would just leave it alone so lightning would just strike it. As I said 2 videos ago, this thing should not be here. It shouldn't exist. But yeah, look at that. Kinda looks like there's a line coming off of this thing. Let's slow that down. See a little line facing over here. The only way for a line to come off of here, at least my logic is, well, the wind has to be coming from the southeast in a very specific angle. Otherwise, that thing's impossible. Usually this island has a northwest wind, so, well, that could be, I'm saying that thing could be, oh dear. Alright, sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, as I was saying, that line, it could have been from a microwave transmitter or the island. The wind would have to come from a southeast direction. Let's go into water vapor now. This is September 21st, 10 to 13:30 Zulu, and, well, I could see some dry air that's being pressed on the northwest and the northeast side of this lid pressure right here. Just look at that for a second. This thing shouldn't be going clockwise. There are thunderstorms developing all around this thing, and they could not allow a thunderstorm above this island. As I said before, there were 2 goals. One, to keep the rain out of California, of course, because I restarted my drought. The other motive is to protect this island transmitter from any sort of thunderstorm activity. That would be devastating if lightning struck that thing. Looks like the energy of this thunderstorm here is starting to disappear a little bit. Anyways, yeah, you see clockwise motion in here. That's kind of bizarre. There's also air getting drier in this region here, just a little bit. Let me slow that down. See, the air's getting drier and it looks like it's starting to go a little bit clockwise. A little tiny clockwise rotation. These storms still want to bubble up around here. When you press down dry air, that could spawn storms around the initial downburst site. So that's probably what's happening here. I still see the weird clockwise rotation up towards the north, northeast, northwest. Doesn't look very normal. Kind of looks like there's a little bit of aerosols as well being laid over. Wow, that's a colossal amount of dry air to the south. That's insane. That does not look natural at all. Still, this tropical depression, there's a bit of a clockwise flow here at the base of this thing. There might be actually multiple areas of dry air being pressed down, but most blatant is towards the southwest. And that's going to prevent a bunch of rain from hitting Texas and all that. There's heavy aerosols over HAARP Report's region. Look at the rain over Northern Baja. Looks like there's a little line right here. Kind of interesting. Let's move on. Oh, thank God. Seems like the screw up didn't mess with everything. I still have some good evidence here. This is September 21st, 10:30 to 14 Zulu. Well, this thing's starting to get blasted even more now. There's a clockwise flow up here, and that's to keep rain out of Southern California. Look at this line right here. There would have to be a southeast wind at a very specific angle for that thing to happen. Still, there's a very blatant clockwise. Looks like there's a little ring-like thing over here. Let's slow that down a bit. Just look at that. Look at the little blast pattern. I think this blast right here was mainly to keep this island safe from any developing thunderstorms. Okay, low pressure bit northeast of Hawaii is still getting heavily aerosolized. As I said, this thing could have been a giant hurricane and moved into California if they hadn't screwed with it, if they'd released the system. But they can't do that quite yet. The gangsters have not been arrested yet, so they're going to continue until they are. And I hope they are soon. Otherwise, our planet is screwed. I'm just going to say that blatantly. There's actually multiple areas of dry air being pressed down. One's right here. One's right here. All leading towards clockwise. And over towards the north as well. This thing's being assaulted from so many angles. See a little clockwise over towards the northwest side. Many directions just to keep rain out. I know it looks like there wants to be little rain coming up, moisture from the blast over here. There's a bit of daytime heating, so convection should be going really good over the land. The sea's a little bit cooler, so wouldn't expect as much, but there's still some potential because of warmer water. Still, land creates a lot of convection, especially when there's mountains. There's many goals with their operation. It's not just California getting screwed, it's many other places. This is the same time in water vapor. This is actually taking a longer time than I'd wanted it to, but hey, this is important. Look at the heavy aerosols over this thing. It's extremely heavy. There's more aerosols being laid over here, probably just to keep the jet stream flat, prevent more low pressures from bringing rain into the northwest. Anyways, Tropical Depression 16E. I think that's 16E. Yeah, it is. There's very heavy trails over Texas and closer towards the center of this thing. Looks all smudged, and of course there's a clockwise motion on the southwest side. This northern part of the low pressure, the northern end shouldn't be going clockwise, while low pressure's going counterclockwise. The whole system's supposed to be counterclockwise. Shortwave, September 21st, 11 to 14:30 Zulu. That's about a half hour later. I don't know why I had that extra frame here, but it's okay. Pretty much the same stuff. Clouds are disappearing. There's clockwise rotation. Ionospheric heaters are blasting dry air down here to keep the rain out of California. There's also aerosols around here that are starting to be laying. See these very faint little streaks? Gosh, there was so much potential for thunderstorms. The day before was like 70%. Then on that day, they decided, nope, California, Southern California, Orange County, you're not going to get no rain because we don't like you. Pretty much feels like a slap in the face to me. I'm kind of sad. These clouds here are disappearing as they head into the United States from Baja. That's very odd. There's not much rotation with this tropical depression. Just looks like a giant mess getting aerosolized and blown apart. Everything just disappears as it starts heading into California. You know, they might want to also protect a transmitter on San Nicolas Island. Of course, it's not shown here, but it's in this location where my mouse is, approximate location. It's supposed to be a Navy installation. Of course, there would be ionospheric heaters on it, so they would want to protect it. Gotta do more research into that thing, but HAARP Report, he told me quite a bit back that San Nicolas Island had some ionospheric heaters on it. From what I saw on Google Earth, seems like he was right. There was some funny stuff there. This is September 21st, 1830 to 22 Zulu. And this thing looks like it's taking a beating over here. Mother Nature still wants to bring some development, but unfortunately though, it can't happen. Okay, there's a clockwise rotation, very blatant right here where my mouse is, off of the coast of Southern California. And looks like there's a bunch of heavy aerosol clouds as well. Of course, when you see this wispy kind right here, very faint as well, also classifies as aerosol. They like to filter these things out. But yeah, there's a lot of aerosols here. You're going to see the NASA worldview thing still. Clockwise rotation, kind of looks like there's a bit of a clockwise rotation over my area as well. Just a little bit. Yeah, I'm around 12 miles inland, so could be like right here. Who knows? There's still blasts over here. Looks like there's clouds disappearing. There's a ring right here, and there looks to be some aerosol spray. They're just trying to get rid of this thing, mainly to keep rain out of California and protect this island. I already told you that. Still clockwise rotation here. Clouds disappearing. Weird explosion of some sort. Still, man. Look at this clockwise rotation off our coast. And heavy spray on the north side. Very heavy spray. It almost looked like a nuclear bomb went off in our area here. Not even joking. The sky looks like a very dirty sort of mess. Don't know of any other words to describe it. Look at the heavy aerosol in this tropical depression here, keeping rain out of Texas. There's air being blasted down here as well in this general area. They were working on this thing earlier. They're probably still working on it. This is the same time in water vapor. You can see right now that it looks like a This whole low pressure looks like it's falling apart. Looks like a giant disorganized mess. Definitely see a bunch of clockwise rotation. Normal low pressures don't go clockwise. That just doesn't happen in nature. You can see the heavy spray over here. I can guarantee you that there was absolutely no rain that fell in my area. I'm sad. Look at these heavy aerosols. HAARP Report was getting hammered as well. Everything just looks like it's getting drier in general. Hell, I even see a little bit of spraying towards the center of this disaster that they created. It's just a disorganized mess. Still wants to do something towards the south, but not happening. They're just like pretty much shoving this thing off to the east and west as well. It's just like being torn apart. They're trying to create a little rubber band out of it. Just looks very weird. September 21st going into the 22nd, 21:30 to 0 Zulu. Of course, the destruction continues. The aerosols continue all over. This low pressure here looks like it's getting weak again, and aerosols are being sprayed all along here. It's very, very heavy. Look how long these lines are. Look at that. That's crazy. These are all aerosols that are going to slam into us and move the low pressure out of the area. Just one last final look at the very, very dry air. It just got that way in less than 2 days. Very, very interesting. Just dry air being pressed down, causing this effect. At the same time, they're pressing air, looks like, down here to move this thing out. This thing's just rapidly moving towards the east, and over here is moving towards a little bit south, and they're actually moving it a bit. It's so weird. This is September 22nd, 0:30 to 4 Zulu. Oh my gosh, it gets worse. Still going clockwise. Seems like they're pressing dry air down here. The area towards the center is pretty much done with. Looks like this island got a little bit of rain. Doesn't seem like thunderstorm activity though. Yeah, this thing's trying to relocate, but not going to benefit us much. There's rain just south of San Diego, but right at the border, that's where pretty much the rain ends. This tropical depression is pretty much over with. Sure, there might be some lower level clouds, but in general, it looks like a bunch of dry air is getting pressed down all over. They were using aerosols to work with ionospheric heaters, it seems. There might be a little bit of rain right here, but that's the Mojave Desert. See little streaks here. Very, very faint. Of course they filter it. This is shortwave here. Not too much else to show really. Just the clockwise. Looks like there's even some dry air being pressed right over my house. Oh, fun. Point is, this whole thing is just unusual. Our rain was undoubtedly suppressed and shoved off. See a little bit of a blast pattern on the north side, and well, right here as well. It's very, very obvious. Could be coming from the transmitter, or it could be coming from a mobile platform. It's a well-coordinated effort to protect transmitter and keep rain out of California and other places. It's very, very obvious. They were destroying this thing. 2 rings. See, one right here, one right here. I don't think that Mother Nature would do that. September 22nd, 2 to 5:30 Zulu. Oh my gosh, what a mess. This is obviously nighttime during the evening. Very blatant blast pattern. 2 of them. Clockwise rotation over my area and over here. Of course. September 22nd, 5 to 8:30 Zulu. Destruction continues. More clockwise rotation over my area. Of course, they have to always press dry air over me. Create a dry thunderstorm. And shut off the rain. Could have been one other time. Could have happened. I know that that dry thunderstorm we had in late June, dry air was definitely being pressed into to cause that kind of phenomenon. We only got a few drops of rain back then. Anyways, look at that. Clockwise. Right over here. And that's to prevent any moisture from coming up and bringing a pop-up thunderstorm or whatever. They don't want it to rain even one drop here. I can guarantee it. Still, look at these clouds disappearing. Right here and well, a little bit towards the south. Seems like they're just targeting all of Southern California. Yeah, this is water vapor, same time. This is just another view. This kind of looks like a little bit of an outflow boundary coming from all the dry air being pressed down around here. On this 300 millibar jet stream slash surface wind map, you can see that the jet stream and the surface wind is both going from the west to the east, not the opposite. There must be a layer of air between 0 and 30,000 to 65 feet going the opposite direction. So obviously something fishy is going on. A little clockwise, of course, over the county. There's like a full circle clockwise here. See? This thing could have been aerosol spray as well. Okay, let's move on to the relative humidity maps. This video is getting so long. Let me just take a drink of water really quick. Okay, 500 millibars. This is 18,000 feet. You'll see the progression. This low pressure is starting to take shape, and there's some moisture over the area, but as time progresses, this thing will get drier. This is the 21st of September 2015. 6 Zulu, September 21st, 12 Zulu. Interesting stuff. There's areas starting to get a bit drier. Okay, September 21st, 18 Zulu. You're really seeing dry air starting to pop up. Honestly, look at that. It's very, very unusual pocket of dry air. It just keeps growing. See? Look, looks like they were blasting down right here. This is September 22nd, 0 Zulu. Seems like one spot, another spot. There's also some right over here. See, because if you look, things are getting drier. I just have a few more maps. This is from today. This is September 22nd, 9 to 12:30 Zulu, and this thing's gone. See, the aerosols are starting to go away here, but there's some more that are gonna start coming in. I saw some aerosols this evening, blatant little lines. There's not much activity left. Pretty much looks like their operation's complete. Mission succeeded. Keep rain out of California and protect transmitter. Interesting area here. Let's see a little clockwise. And now Colorado's starting to get smashed with aerosols. Texas is still getting it pretty hard. This is just long wave map. Same time. There's still a little bit of moisture off of the coast, but it's mainly going away. Still wants to develop into something, but it was never able to. Yesterday, news said 20% chance of showers today, but it was reduced to partly cloudy or mostly sunny, something like that. If you watched my video, you could see why it didn't rain. They were using ionospheric heaters and aerosols to keep the rain out of Southern California. Kind of see a little tiny blast right here. Expanding and then disappearing clouds. Okay, September 22nd, 20 to 23:30 Zulu. Bunch of aerosols that are off of our coast and starting to come in. What's left of this tropical depression is actually developing a little bit. It seems like they let off there. I don't see a whole lot of activity much. This low pressure near Hawaii, of course it's moved off, but it's not going to bring any sort of rain into California. And I'm sure that this jet stream's still being sprayed into to just keep it flat and prevent low pressures from hitting northern and central California. Over here's likely to prevent another low pressure from forming. Okay. Wow. There's actually very, very heavy aerosol spray on the southwest side of the system. It's very blatant. They did a pretty crappy job at photoshopping this. Let's slow that down. Very rapid. Okay, this is visible here. Same exact time. This right here is pretty much what's left of the low pressure. Looks like it's getting blasted a little bit. So why would they bother with it? Well, I'm telling you, they would probably bother with it because it could just redevelop, and they can't have that. They just have a few more relative humidity maps. 500 millibars. This is September 22nd, 6 Zulu, and there's a lot of dry air around here. Very dry. Nothing too unusual. Seems like dry air mass over here has expanded a little bit. Over here is getting more moist though, but it's not gonna do any good. Seems like this area right here has gotten a little drier. A little bit strange. Okay, this is the final relative humidity map that I'm going to show you on the NASA thing. I'm sorry this is a long video. I see dry air expanding off of our coast. That's likely to stop the rain, prevent any from developing. Not to mention there's some aerosols there, so they'll make sure that we don't get any. This zone right here near this island looks like it was being compressed by multiple air fronts. Could create that effect. Here's a satellite thing that I wanted to show you really quick. This is yesterday. You could see the tons and tons of aerosol clouds over us. Over my area is really bad. It's crazy. It almost looked like a war zone, I swear. See a little waviness here. Don't know if that's natural or not. Interesting. Don't know what to make out of that. Almost looks like some sort of frequency stuff. Interesting stuff as well to the west a bit. Bunch of aerosols, of course, and dry air being pressed down, looks like. So basically, most of Southern California didn't get any rain. Those parts that did are awfully lucky because most of it stopped at the border. You can see there's less activity down here. This is San Diego right here. As you head north, it just becomes more aerosolized and more dirty. Alright, I think that pretty much covers it. Wow, this is interesting. Was dry air being pressed down here? Looks like it could have been a giant hole here. Kind of looks like dry air was being pressed down here as well. Not that I'm surprised or anything. North end is like the most engineered part of it. This whole thing is engineered. What am I even talking about? Hole in the clouds, it looks like. This could have been a powerful low pressure, but unfortunately, it was smashed without any mercy. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for watching. Please share.